Well, welcome. I'm really glad you could make it for this encore presentation of You Can Count on Yourself. 3 steps to create clarity and consistency so you can actually finish what you start with a neurodivergent brain. So if that's you, you're in the right place. I'm Rahti of Creative Calling Coaching. And I'm going to start this presentation off with a couple of questions. If you feel like posting in the chat, I think you have to give StreamYard permission in Facebook. But just feel free to relax, sit back, and take in the information. So, these are my questions. And I see that in StreamYard, it doesn't allow me to build. So you're going to be getting all the information on the slide, it looks like, at once. C'est la vie. Anyway, my first question to you is, what positive actions do you take consistently? And why? For example, I'm very good at brushing my teeth. I'm religious about brushing my teeth. Why? Well, it was actually a negative stimulus. As a baby boomer, when I was going to a pediatric dentist, they were pediatric dentists in name only. It's not like today where it was really a well-trained specialty. This guy would lean over me with a cigarette dangling out of his mouth, telling me to hold still. So I developed a phenomenal dental phobia. I would get 17 cavities at a shot when I was a little girl. So you can imagine how traumatizing that was. Anyway, I got very good at brushing my teeth. Now, it's also true that I can't get a cleaning without gas. So I don't believe that negative motivation is the way to go about things. We're going to find a better way tonight. But back to you. I'm very curious to know what things you do consistently that are good. Many times people come to me and they say, I'm just the most inconsistent person, Rahti. I can't count on myself for anything. Well, there are certain things we are intrinsically motivated to do, like care for our children, care for our pets, and of course, binge Netflix. That's intrinsic motivation, and it is rather overrated. So today we're going to learn how to generate motivation to become consistent at the things we want to be consistent at. So think about those positive actions that you do take consistently and think about why you take them. It's probably because what you want is more powerful to you than how you feel. I may not feel like brushing my teeth, but I really don't want bridge work. I really don't want cavities more, so I do it. My next question is, how do you show up inconsistently? Now, I bet you can come up with 1,000 things for that because very often we focus on problems instead of solutions. So maybe you're somebody who says, I'm going to write a book, and then you never sit down to do it. Maybe you say you're going to exercise. You even join a gym and then you never go. How do you show up inconsistently? And why do you think that is? Well, we're going to get into that, why that is, very shortly. By the end of this webinar, this is my promise, you will have the tools to finish what you start, because you will have 3 steps that will take you there. I'm also going to invite you to stay with me, because if you do stay to the end of the webinar, I'm going to give you a free gift. And it's also worth staying because that way you don't have to take screenshots or notes. This gift has everything and more in it, including some links that I'm going to mention tonight. Okay, 3 tools to staying consistent with a neurodivergent brain, no matter what's in front of you. So hang in for that. And Lastly, we're all divergent thinkers here. Reminds me of that scene from Game of Thrones with the great, oh no, Rahti, don't go riff and then forget the name of the actress. But anyways, there was a great line where she said, "We're all women here." Anyway, we're all divergent thinkers here. So turn off your alerts and distractions so you can be fully present. If you want to get a stress ball and squeeze it or chew gum, that's another matter, because if you have ADHD, you might well know that those types of kinesthetic activities that don't take brain power actually help you focus. So feel free to do that kind of thing. So, why are you here today? This is what I'm guessing. You experience time as either non existent or you think you need more of it. Unfortunately, we all get the same amount, 24 hours per day. So, this is a real thing. I'm going to go back to that slide for a second. As neurodivergent people, very often we do not have a neurotypical relationship to time. We really don't know what 10 minutes feels like, okay? And that's why we think we need more time. We tend to try to fit too much in it. The second issue is, as soon as you start a project, life feels out of control. We're going to address that today. You see the whole thing at once, and you don't know how you'll do it in the context of the rest of your life. It is just this great big blob coming at you. And lastly, your energy is erratic. You know, we all show our A reels on Facebook, but the fact is, nobody wakes up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed every single day. People learn to work with their energy. They learn to construct systems that work for them. And as someone with ADHD or a neurodivergent brain or a very creative brain wiring, you may think the ways that work for someone else should work for you. That is a terrible setup, and we're going to get past that tonight. So if your energy is erratic, it follows that it's hard to keep your word to yourself. It's hard to follow through on things when you don't know whether you'll feel able to when the time comes. So before I get into the antidote to those three problems, I'm going to tell you a little background on myself, give you a little story about myself. You may recognize the dame in the middle of the slide here. That is a very young Meryl Streep back when she was at the Yale School of Drama. And you may or may not recognize the little girl to the left with the scarf around her neck. That's me at 15. Now, I wanted to be an actress. I had a fire in my belly. And I created a position for myself by basically sleeping on the doorstep of the Yale School of Drama, because I grew up in New Haven, as a company apprentice for the Yale Summer Cabaret Theater, which meant that in exchange for cutting up cheesecake and scrubbing out urinals, of course, I would wash my hands between those tasks, I would be thrown a bone once in a while, like a little bit part, such as, right here, there was a sketch we were doing about the making of a television commercial. Anyway, I've got to add myself to the stream, genius. Hi. Anyway, there was a production of The Real Inspector Hound by Tom Stoppard, and I got a little bit part in that too. I got to play the corpse under the couch. Now, I was nothing if not committed as a young actress. I was a phenomenal corpse under the couch. My legs were sticking out in these great big army boots. I was supposed to be a dead man. I lay there, and I swear you couldn't see me breathe for an hour and a half or move, even as Meryl Streep was traipsing across my legs in a gold lame gown and high heels back and forth. I was still as a corpse. After the show, My father came to one particular performance. I ran over to him and I said, "So what'd you think?" Understandably, he thought for a second and he said, "You know, that blonde gal," referring to Meryl Streep, "is gonna make it." Well, he was right. But it was a bit of a parenting fail. See, again, as a baby boomer, our parents didn't know what we know now about raising kids. What I needed to hear in that moment was, "You were the best corpse. I didn't see you breathe. How did you do that for an hour and a half? You were amazing. And what an incredible opportunity you have to be working with these phenomenal actors. You're going to learn so much. I'm so proud of you and so happy for you." So I was left to draw my own conclusions from what Daddy said. And the conclusion I drew was that if I can't be Meryl Streep, I'm invisible. I may as well be a corpse under the couch. If I'm going to make it as an actress, I have to do it on a level that is Meryl Streep worthy. I have to be Meryl Streep. Well, fast forward many disillusioning days and nights and years in the theater, having moved to New York City at the tender age of 17, I became very disillusioned. And as Meryl's star rose, I started to feel more and more like that corpse under the couch. Compare and despair was just killing me until eventually, I guess I had what I would characterize as a little nervous breakdown, which resulted in moving into an ashram in Pennsylvania. I became a Jewish nun. It was a Hindu kibbutz, if you will. It was the best thing I could have done at the time. It gave me an opportunity to reparent myself, because at the ashram, nobody cared that I was an actress. People actually saw me. What made me worthwhile was not what I did. It was who I was. And there was a lot of healing that went on in those years. Fast forward, I come back to New York City, still determined to have a career in the theater, but a lot wiser. One of the things I learned was that company is stronger than will when I was living at the Shram. So I started creating these success teams around myself. I would pull groups of friends together and we would go through Barbara Scherr's Wishcraft or Julia Cameron's The Artist Way, and people started popping. Things started happening for my friends who joined this group. One friend became a DJ. Another always wanted to open a bookstore, and she opened a bookstore. Now, I was married by this time, and my husband was seeing how well this was going and asked, "Why aren't you doing this for a living? You should charge money for this." Well, a little light bulb went off in my brain because I was really tired of hustling as a young actress, cater waitering and cleaning people's houses and restaurant hostessing. And this was like breathing to me. So once I figured out what it was I should be charging for, coaching, very new industry at the time, the late early 90s. I got my certification, I got my training, I hung my shingle out in 2003, fast forward. Now I can say at cocktail parties, when we get back to going to cocktail parties, "Hi, my name's Rahti. I'm a coach, and I help creatives and entrepreneurs with ADHD or who just feel pulled in 50 directions focus so they can follow through, finish things, get seen, and make money doing what they love." You see, my life, and I believe yours too, is a cumulative experience. I want to invite you right now to put down any regret you have ever had. When you know better, you do better. Did not make that up. I believe that was Maya Angelou, but it's true. When you know better, you do better. So put that burden down. And now I want to ask a question. Going back to our little slideshow here. Oh, I skipped a slide. That's not right. Well, how about you? Imagine if you could finish that play, that book, that film, that sculpture. Imagine if you could get out of that job you hate and into one you love. Launch that business, scale it to where it supports you and your family. Do all the things you've been putting off, like driving cross country or getting a knee replacement, all while enjoying every minute of your life. You see, the whole point of this webinar is to give you the tools to live your life instead of your life living you, so that you don't wake up years from now saying, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but my ADHD or family or chronic illness or survival job stopped me. So today, I'm going to show you how to work with time so that your plans are doable. I'm going to give you the tools to break goals down granularly along a timeline. And I'm going to show you how you can work with your energy instead of against it. This I really wish there was a build for. Then what? Well, you'll be perfect and never struggle again, of course. Just kidding. At the end of this webinar, in addition to the free gift, I'm going to be giving you an opportunity to take today's work to the next level. So, first, let's begin with the number one issue that discourages and derails us as neurodivergent people: over-promising and under-delivering. Why do we do that? Because we don't know how long shit takes, as I mentioned before. There's something called executive function that you may be familiar with, and that is the part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, that regulates things like how long you should plan in order to get into the city, right? There are a bunch of other things that the executive functioning regulates that people with neurodivergent brains don't have that well developed. We have other superpowers, but executive function, time sensitivity is not one of them. So if you don't have time sensitivity, you're always late to things. You have trouble collaborating with others. You can't finish you can't finish anything because you had no idea in the first place how long it would take. So I want to talk to you about how to work with time by giving you the principles of planning. What we are going to learn tonight together is how to plan your week so you can plan your days. I'm going to talk about the rule of 3 most likely at some point. I'm going to show you or recommend how you can block out time for what matters most first to you. Going to learn to multiply by 2. Going to learn about batching. Going to learn how to live by the calendar and planner. And we're going to learn the concept of KISS and make it portable. So this feeling of being easily overwhelmed, many times it's because you have no idea where to even begin with a project. Not only that, but you don't know how to say no to everything else. You don't have a concept of what's involved. You like to be nice, so you may end up making all kinds of commitments that then take up part of your 24 hours a day, so that by the time you can get to work on what matters to you, you're already spent. First tool: stop trying to surf a tsunami. Break it down way down. All right, you're going to notice here. The person has, this is Barbara Scherr's model, actually. It is a flow chart she created, the late, great Barbara Scherr, mother of coaching, in my opinion, all the way to what is your right, like reading Hebrew, right to left, you're going to see the goal, enter medical school. What this person has done is deconstructed that goal step by step. Well, what has to happen before they can enter medical school? Well, looks like they need to get a scholarship. How do they get a scholarship? Well, maybe corporations, send letters to corporations, but what about that? Well, I got to find out what corporations are that do this sort of thing. Maybe I need to publish an article so that they know I'm on the map somewhere. There's this other trajectory, like getting into medical school, applying to medical school. You got to get the forms to apply to medical school. Working backwards. What this shows you is that you can work backwards to a goal until you get to what it is that you can do today. I mean, this chart could even go further, make notes, or back here, study college notes. Before that, you may have to go and dig them out of your mother's attic, right? This flow chart could go way back, but the beauty of it is once you get to something that you can do today, you can connect that action to your goal so that you know why you're doing it. That in and of itself is not quite enough. You also need to then do the math, but you can't do the math till you figure out all the steps. Once you do, you figure out the math and then double it. Let me explain. So say you think it's going to take you, it's going to take you a month to brush up on your college notes in order to take the exam. This is a guess. Chances are good that you're wrong. So I simply recommend doubling it. Give yourself 2 months. All right. That gives you a date, an end date, 2 months from whenever the process of studying your notes begin. You're going to go through your whole flow chart that way and determine how long each step will take you, and then double it. I would like you also to consider it's a good idea to plan for transitions as well. Not only are you going to double the time you think it takes, but I recommend satellite time. If you're somebody who's always late, maybe you figure, I'm going to get out the door. It's going to take me a half hour to get to this appointment. Well, of course, you haven't considered the time it takes to even get out the door. Well, you do your math, you double it. You're going to give yourself an hour. And then satellite time, you get the image of Saturn, right? Let me just explain this to you for a second. Saturn is a planet with a ring around it, right? A ring that is like going around the planet. The space in between the ring and the planet, that's satellite time. That's transition time. You want to whack a little transition time on the beginning and end of your planning, so that if you have a little bit of one more thing syndrome before you get out the door, one more thing, I got to do one more thing, you kind of planned in 15 minutes for that. You may also need to set alarms on your watch. I don't know. However, this is a really good technique. And I also recommend minimizing transitions by doing what is called batching. Batching, quite simply, is like activities with like. You don't want to plan to do a deep dive on your novel and then run to a doctor's appointment, do a bunch of errands, come home, and have a money meeting with your spouse. That's a setup for disaster and non-action. All right. If you're going to give yourself a deep dive, because remember I said people with neurodivergencies have superpowers. One of the superpowers is not just inattentiveness or shiny object syndrome, it's hyperfocus. You have the power of going deep and losing track of time. So why not plan for that? Why not give that to yourself if it's part of your creative process? Give yourself a day, or at least a whole morning or afternoon with transition time between whatever that is and whatever you're doing next. So personally, I plan all my meetings on the same day, on Mondays. I do all my coaching on basically Tuesdays and Wednesdays, some on Tuesday mornings. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are my fulfillment days, right? I have days where I do errands, afternoons, Friday afternoons blocked off, sacrosanct, right? You figure out what works for you, and I'm not going to tell you what works for you. That's what you're going to figure out. That's what you need to figure out. So back to the matter at hand. Now, once you've done the math, that's all very well and good, but you got to get it in your face. You got to get it on a calendar. And you will notice I have a 12-month calendar here. In my own office, I have a giant 12-month dry erase calendar taped in front of, on the wall in front of my computer. So I see it every day. I put my big events on there. I put my big deadlines on there. I have a lot of my life on there. I block off my vacation on there. I recommend doing that first, by the way. Block vacation time off first because life will infringe upon it otherwise. Anyway, get it on the calendar. Already, we're building some tools. What we're doing is we're building some systems, some support systems to pull you so that you don't have to always be pushing yourself without knowing what you're pushing yourself towards. However, even that is not enough. In conjunction with calendarizing, and I also recommend a Google Calendar, a digital calendar, where you can make appointments and share appointments with people. I have that too. Get yourself a 90-day planner. Now, I don't think, I don't think I would recommend taking a screenshot of this. I don't know if it's in the free gift or not. You're certainly welcome to email me afterwards and I'll send you the links or take a screenshot now. Maybe these links on your screen actually work. I'm not sure. But these are 3 planners, 3 90-day planners that I highly, highly recommend. The one I use is the Breakthrough Planner, the one in the middle, and I'm going to use that as my next example. So, you got your daily spread here. There's a lot to this planner than just the day-to-day. The beginning, the front of the planner, it helps you plan out your 3-month goals. We're going to talk about the rule of 3 here. We also set ourselves up by over-promising and under-delivering with too many things we say we're going to do. Just choose 3. 3 goals a quarter, 3 goals that relate to those goals a month, 3 goals that relate to your monthly goals a week, and 3 goals that relate to your daily goal, to your weekly goals a day. What I love about this planner is it allows you to write your 3 quarterly goals down so they are in front of you every single day. And I cannot tell you how powerful that is. I would say 95% of our problem when we tend to have focus challenges is all that exists is the present moment, out of sight, out of mind. If you did nothing else but keep your 3 big goals in front of you and write them out every day, incrementally, you would intuit yourself into accomplishing so much more than you already are. However, I think you deserve to do even more than that. Give yourself this daily structure. I like that it bookends with gratitudes because, you know, when you wake up in the morning with that existential angst, whatever, nothing disrupts that better than thinking about what you're grateful for. You cannot feel grateful and depressed in the same second. It really sets you up better for the day. Bookend your day with those gratitudes. You have your goals for the month. There's a place for follow-ups. Then you have your priority goals for the day. And on the other side of the spread, you see, you fill this out at the end of the day. What were your big successes, your 3 big successes? You anchor your learnings. If something happened, you anchor the learning by writing out, what did you learn? Beyond honest with yourself. What are you avoiding? What keeps not getting done? All right. I live by my planner. It's my Bible. When you have systems that contain you, it takes the pressure off. Get it all out of your head because it doesn't stay there anyway. So here I'm going to go to the last issue in a moment, but I just want to check in with you and hope all is well. I think it is. I've got some people watching. If you think what I am saying is making sense, I hope you'll give me a little heart or a little thumbs up. Anyways, now we're going to move on to the third issue. We've talked about time sensitivity. We've talked about managing time through planning, breaking things down incrementally and doing the math, then calendarizing them. Now, the third challenge is you don't know if you'll feel like it. You can't, it's great, Rahti, I can make all these plans, but what if you can't predict your energy from day to day or even hour to hour? So you can't even trust yourself to stay on track with a plan, so you don't even make one. Why should I set myself up? And for a lot of people, that includes not even having a daily structure that would allow you to feel rested and grounded with time to re-energize. So what happens is you set up this vicious cycle of inconsistency and incompletion. I'm wondering if that feels familiar to you. I say you deserve a lot better. Here's the thing. Creative people resist structure. Ironically, we thrive within it. However, it has to be the right structure. It can't be rigid. Right? Add to stream. You got to work with your energy, not against it. So in creating your day-to-day structure, don't try to be a morning person, for instance, if you are not. When you're planning your days, schedule in lots of transition time, right? People say, well, that sucks. I should be able to. I should. As soon as you hear yourself saying should, you're not talking about yourself. And you need to embrace who you are. Let me tell you something. If you think you should have less transition time when it takes you an hour to get out of the house, it's only going to take you longer when you give yourself less time. As I love to say to my clients, and I'm going to say it to you, and if you get nothing else out of this webinar, I want you to sew this on a tapestry. Rushing slows you down. Take the time you need. Scheduling lots of transition time if you need it. And remember, it's not quantity, it's quality. It's about quality time. So for instance, you may think, maybe you don't have, 4 hours or 8 hours to work on a project. You have responsibilities, right? You have a life. Set yourself up so that if you have an hour and a half, whatever it is, you're going to really go deep and get a lot out of it, right? You're going to know what you're sitting down to do. There's actually a book called Rest, R-E-S-T, and I forget the author. You can go to Amazon and Google it, but it is basically, it gives us studies of really ingenious, creative, successful people and how they work. You would be surprised to find out that many very successful people only really, quote, work for like 3 hours a day. That's because they know that when they're not working, they're working. They need to give their subconscious time to gestate. Going on a walk is working if you're a creative. Exercising. You are exercising for the sake of your creativity. You must take care of yourself that way. Dump all the shoulds right now. And like I said before, have a structure that's flexible. For instance, you make this beautiful plan. You're going to spend 2 hours writing. And what happens? You have a sick dog that keeps you up all night, and you just don't, you're exhausted. You just can't even, but there are these mindless tasks you have scheduled for the middle of the day, because usually when you get sleep, that is your not creative time. Be flexible enough to flip it. Do your mindless tasks in the morning, take a nap, and then do your 2 hours of writing in the afternoon. Be flexible with yourself. As soon as you start saying, I should, you're not talking about yourself. Embrace what is. All righty. So, what is next, I wonder? Well, what is next is that opportunity I was telling you about to go deeper with this work, because even though I hope you got a lot of value out of this webinar, change takes time. You have a lifetime of habits lined up there that you need to undo. All right. And I want to give you a pathway for that. So, this is a client of mine, a voiceover artist, who she always wanted to be a voiceover. She wanted to be an actress, voiceover artist, and her life kind of ran away with her until she met me, and she did what is called my ADHD Get It Done Day. I taught a lot of the same tools I just taught tonight. So this experience was pivotal for her. All of a sudden, she didn't feel like a BB gun, as you see, bouncing from one thing to the other and getting halfway done. She ended up working with me in a group coaching program, and she constructed a system for herself now so that she has a voiceover career. This is another fantastic human being who worked with me privately for several months. She is an intuitive, a healer. And for a lot of us empathic, intuitive types, we fly by this, we move by our gut. Systems don't necessarily come naturally, and you certainly can't create them in a vacuum. So in our work together, we collaborated in finding her strengths so that we created these systems where she was able to keep track of appointments. We were able to manage her emotions, because a lot of the work is also about mental fitness and mental command. Techniques to allow you to put your focus where you want it, when you want it. She didn't know how to scale her business. Fast forward 6 months that we worked together, she doubled her income, negotiated a settlement on $11,000 of debt, created her first program, and she's killing it now. So this is my bragging way of getting you to take the next step with me. How about you? Would you like to create more consistency, happiness, and success? Are you thinking, hey, that was fun, Rahti, but am I really going to do all this? This stuff is great, Rahti, but nobody cares if I do it or not. It's not like a promise I'm making to somebody else. Isn't it easy to keep our word to other people? So much easier than to ourselves. Or, I know a lot of this stuff. I've tried a lot of this stuff, but I don't stick with it. Okay. You got 2 options, people. And here's what they are. You believe you should be able to do this. Again, when you say should, you're not talking about yourself. You're saying you should be able to do this on your own. I don't even know who that person is. But you don't, of course, because like I said, these are new skills. You're up against a lifetime of habits. Very few people can build these new habits without support. I would venture to say nobody does, really. So you stay where you are. You had a nice time tonight. Yeah, you're going to get a few things that shift things for you, and I'm grateful for that. But you're going to pretty much stay where you are. Here's option 2. If you really want to turbocharge some growth, you book some free one-on-one time with me to figure out how to make these tools work for you. Because no two people are alike. I don't do cookie cutter coaching. This was teaching tonight, not coaching. Have a conversation with me so that I can support you in starting to bring this stuff into your life with an action plan designed specifically to you. So currently, I'm accepting, appointments for conversations regarding my upcoming program, From Goal Getter to Goal Setter. No, I'm sorry, Goal Setter to Goal Getter, the other way around. You're great at setting goals. No, From Goal Setter to Goal Getter. It is a 4-week program where I go in deep with the 4 pillars of structures that result in consistency and success for creatives with ADHD. Again, I don't know if this link is live, but you will get it in the free gift, so don't worry about it. In this 4-week program, I'm going to take you step by step. It's going to be an hour and a half each time. It's going to be part coaching, part teaching, and part co-working. In week 1, we're going to actually take your goal and break it down and go through the reverse engineering you need to go through so that you have those small, manageable steps instead of drowning in a tsunami of to-dos. We're going to actually do that shoulder to shoulder, virtually speaking, together. Following week, the 19th, we're going to get clear about those numbers. We're going to get realistic about time frames so that you stay in actions and you meet deadlines without confusion or overwhelm, because you have learned to underpromise so you can over-deliver, and you're going to get that stuff on the calendar. We're going to actually do that together. Week 3, we're going to work on that motivation. You're going to learn how to generate motivation and inspiration through rituals and routines that keep your goals front and center for you. And these will be rituals and routines of your own creation. We may brainstorm, we may innovate. You're going to get ideas from other people in the group. Finally, week 4, we're going to put it all together so that you come away with what I call a container, a structure that holds you and that will pull you towards the inevitable result of your goal becoming manifest. So you can have a conversation with me about whether that program is the right fit for you or not. The Goal Setter to Goal Getter program is $347 for those 4 weeks. That's a lot of time. And that's a lot of material and a lot of content and value. And I want to make it like hell yes for you. I want to make it absolutely, absolutely a no-brainer. So I'm offering this fast action discount, $50 off. You can join this program for $297 if you register to have a consultation with me for it by Mother's Day, May 8th. You'll notice when you go to the website, it says May 5th. We're going to change that. May 8th. I can't push it past that because we're starting on May 12th. So you just go to this URL to grab your free conversation with me. And if this link doesn't work for you as you're watching the replay, I have a feeling it won't. Go ahead and download the free gift and you will have the URL to go do that there. And I'm going to get to that in a minute as I promised. But I also want to say, well, I already explained all that, right? Yada, yada, yada. May 8th, we'll see if the program's right for you. You get that fast action discount. Now, you may feel that, Rahti, I'm not looking for a group program. I'm not looking for something like that right now, or those dates don't work for me, or, whatever. There could be 100 reasons why you figure I'm not going to bother, but don't lose this opportunity to set up a conversation with me. Here's why. No, I'm going to get to that in a second. I promise you. I promise you. And you probably already snapped it. You may be out of here. If you are, so be it. If you do stick around, though, and have that private conversation with me, you can do whatever you want with that time. You have a half hour with me. You can design a daily or weekly structure. That could be your objective for our free conversation. Maybe there's a decision you've been putting off making and you need a sounding board. That's something we coaches do. I can help you identify and resolve something that's stopping you from starting. And I will tell you, one of the number one enemies we have, it's a form of self-abuse, indecision. It's what keeps you from moving forward. So, well, I actually have a whole workshop about decision making. However, you could come to your half-hour consultation with me and I'll help you make that decision you've been putting off. Or perhaps it's just going to be about determining what next action you need to take in the service of what you really want in your life. So, as promised, go to this URL, download the 3 tools webinar gift, okay? And you're going to find the link to schedule your free conversation with me, along with all the other goodies that I told you, a recap of all the material we've gone over, and then some from tonight. So, that said, if I can also, because you'll probably be watching this on a replay, I will put the link in the chat so that you can schedule that time with me and go investigate the Goal Setter to Goal Getter workshop. In the meantime, I hope you got some value from this. I hope you'll write to me. You'll let me know what you thought of this webinar. Let this be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. And I really wish for you that you get everything you want, because really that's what we do to pull each other forward. When someone makes their dream come true, we depend on each other for that. We depend on each other to make our goals happen. You have meaning to bring to the world. Help yourself by contacting me. Let me help you create the meaning that you are here to create. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye-bye.